I can kind of figure out where my so-called bestie, just because everything that we've more or less talked about has just been about fashion. I was looking through tons of old messages, just reliving all the nostalgia, and I came across one where me and another person that we had a project with, we were like talking about the project post detail. This was before, was it before or after this person's current ex, like they separated and stuff. But this was when I think I was moved out, living up north and everything. And this person, like I've worked with this person before with someone else, and I was like, okay, like I'll do another shoot. I was actually supposed to have done another shoot with someone else, but they just were not ready and did not seem to just be ready, I guess. And they got mad at me about that, and it's like, come on now, like you're not doing your part, I guess, or maybe it's, yeah, I don't know. And I what was I gonna say? Like at first, like maybe I should have been like, oh no, like this is what I'll do and like do only or whatever. But just like looking back at, like, for me, it was like, oh, body positivity. Like I was a little thicker at that point. I wasn't like, I think the lowest that I've ever gotten was, hopefully that does not trigger people, but just like my personal history of having like kept calories and all of that, kept calories, counted calories and everything. But I, it was like, maybe I should have like, oh no, we're just doing like portrait shots or something. I don't know. I had I reread the message before, but like at those times, having been so into the depression and just like, oh my gosh, like getting through 2013's ordeals, because it was a lot for me. But rereading it, it's like, okay, like we're happy about the pictures or whatever, we're making small talk and everything. And I'll probably post it up online too. But in those messages, it's like, oh, like, let me say my favorite thing about Leisha that the other girl might hate or dislike about herself not having it. And let me say the thing that I like about this girl, Jade, that might pinpoint Leisha. Is like, oh, like if someone is short and someone is tall, someone will be like, oh my gosh, I love how tall you are, tall person. And oh, short person, like maybe the tall person wants to be shorter, and it's like, oh, like I like how adorable you are. I guess like maybe adorable is, kind of linked in with being short or whatever, And, like what if I had issues with my tummy, like getting a six pack? Like, honestly, I really don't care, On good days, I can suck in my tummy and like, woo, Otherwise, I'm just, really whatever about it. Like it does not hurt me to not have a six pack, or someone like, oh, this person has such a great washboard abs. And it's like, okay, they worked really hard on that. I don't like doing sit-ups, whatever, But with the other person, I think later on, it was like, oh, like you have such like great bust or whatever. And I'm like, well, like I'm sure that like there are people who prefer or don't mind girls who aren't that curvy at the top part, just to make it PC and kosher for like all age groups, because I could go on about like other variations of words. And like at that time, it was just like, whatever, like I, like I have a bust, like everyone does, but, like whatever, but it's not just like, oh, haha, my boobs are so much bigger. like va va voom or whatever. And maybe it hurt the person and I didn't even know it, but it's not me. It's like someone else pointing out something and having someone else look at the other person like, oh, this person gave her a compliment on something that I'm lacking, which is not my fault, you know. Of course, I could be like, wow, dude, like that's inappropriate or like all this other stuff, outside of the fact. I'm just like, all right, I did this project with someone that I thought I liked at the time. And, like, okay, like sometimes I lose weight and the girls kind of like get a little smaller, like. And, like, you're not my man. You're not someone that I'm dating. You're not someone that's really in my life or trying to be in my life like that. So, like, why should I keep this part of my body, like, for you? It's like, oh, commit these attributes to me, otherwise I'll get angry. Like, he literally said, like, oh, if you get them reduced, like, you're dead to me. And it's like, wow, that's going above and beyond for two people who aren't really even friends, and this person is probably just like, oh, I wish I had boobs or blah, 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 blah. And it's like, if you want to augment your body, go ahead. If you want bigger boobs, you can always, like, either, I guess for some people, gain weight to get a bigger bust. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe gaining weight is frightful to them. And she needs an ear. Or you can, save up or what have you to, pay for that augmentation. Like I want everyone to be happy with themselves. But like at that time, I feel like that could have been the thing where it's like, oh, like she's a body shamer or whatever else. But then it's like, I did not say, oh, yes, Jade, your stomach is better than everyone else's in the room. But I guess, lavish a man with praise. Men can do no wrong because they hold validation for women. Other women are your enemy. You get your love and validation from a male person. When that male person probably does not really care about you, he's objectifying you, and he's probably doing the same to other women. And we're people of color, and we're just like exotic animals for this person, And that's the only thing that like comes to mind, like thinking about it and like going through hundreds of messages from Facebook. And, like that's not me being a body shamer. I'm not coming for like anyone else, due to body image issues. It's probably like other people saying stuff, but like that's the only time where a third party is messaging us like, oh, this person has flat washboard abs, doesn't she, Leisha? Like I'm trying to make you jealous because you're a little bit thicker than she is, and you don't have a flat stomach. Hello, hello. While this person, like doesn't Leisha have like a nice rack, more or less. And, like that's someone pitting two people who could be probably close to best of friends, if that potential was on the other side too. But, it was just like, okay, this is done. We got our pictures, awesome, cool, whatever. But, like other people can have other things to say. Like, wow, these pictures are cool, but, like, don't you wish you had this type of physique, and like just stirring the pot, as they say, or stirring up drama for the other person and making them feel inadequate about themselves. And I'm not saying like, wow, this photographer is like the best one ever and like everything he say is God or anything, because he's treated me like shit too, more, I mean, not just like outright like some other people, but just like, okay, oh, you want to do this project? Sure. Nothing comes up out of it. So we wasting our time for like a long time. Okay, cool. But that was definitely one thing that I can see where, other people are putting it like, oh, wow, Leisha, like, like instigating stuff, especially with someone who has body image issues, that later on, like after the fact, and like other conversations with the person's ex that I was even reading to, like they had body image issues, and I thought that they were actually getting help for them. But anybody can say that they're going to therapy. Anybody can say that they're working on something when, maybe they don't, or maybe they don't see it beneficial, especially if it's like, oh, if I'm thin, I'm lovable, I'm sexy, I'm cute, I'm pretty, or I'm prettier than someone else. And if they are working on, maybe anorexia, maybe being pro-ana, which is one of the words that I came across really early in my blogging career, derping around on the internet, looking at forums and stuff. It's like, oh, how to be pro-ana, like Anna is awesome, da 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 da. It's like pro-anorexia. Like eat like an apple, but take like 30 minutes to do this. Like don't eat after this time and drink lots of water, eat like a breath mint, or like, like stuff that, if someone was like, oh my gosh, I have to be beautiful, like they're going into this world, to this forum where these sites are telling young girls pretty much how to destroy their bodies. Like when you don't eat, of course, like your body starts to eat itself. It starts to eat at the nutrition and whatnot, and the muscles and the bones. Muscle weakness can happen. Stomach can kind of deteriorate if you're not bulimic. If this prolongs over time, your mood changes because different vitamins have effects on your mood. Maybe it's not just like, oh, like I took like a multivitamin and I'm healthy for the rest of the day, but getting key nutrients and minerals and everything, it helps the body out, and how the mind works and how the brain and body functions, even under how the environment is. Like, are people focusing on your weight? Are they making fun of you? Are you looking at pictures where it's glorifying really skinny body types